That's fine. Also, not just learning, also talking about things like the whole inside, outside, and Crimson Kingdom, and the King and Crimson, and the relationship between them and everything else, because we do have to remember that on the inside, unlike our world here, where we sort of have overarching world government, and that, you know, you can sort of, if you need help, call out to others, and everybody hears about stuff, and maybe everyone just watches while you get crushed by someone who's being aggressive, but at least there's people there to make condemnations of it. But on the inside, there is none of that. I mean, when you go past the crossroads into the Crimson Kingdom, well, it's just the King and Crimson that is the authority there. Luckily for everyone, the King and Crimson is on our side. What could you do if he would? They weren't. So, luckily, but there's no overarching government for anyone who's unhappy with the King and Crimson to go talk to another government or something above them, because the King and Crimson is the top. And in the Pale domain, it is the Pale King that's in charge. And what the Pale King says goes. There is nobody to talk to if you're unhappy with the answer you get. In the Association of Sovereign Free States, I mean, they're just a mess. It's like, I've tried to describe it as, imagine Europe around World War I time, where everyone was nominally at peace with each other, while also having all these treaties with each other. And so 1 week you'd be happy with one country, and the next week you're like trying to crush them economically, and then the week after they're your ally again. That's what's going on in the Association of Sovereign Free States. They're contemporary, they're smart, they do what they can, but they're also people. And if you're unhappy with that, who do you talk to? There is no overarching governmental authority. Past those three things, through the one gate, the one door that I talk about in the southeastern United States, there is no one. There is no greater authority. If you're unhappy with the leader of wherever you happen to be, it's knuckle under and live with it, or try to go somewhere else. And that, of course, is the other part about places like the Inside and the Razor's Edge. They are actually slightly more cooperative, slightly more social. They do work more toward the common good than we here on the outside do. And part of that is just because of natural selection and social Darwinism. Because you're on an eternal, untamable frontier. You need to have your neighbors and your friends willing to risk their lives to help you, so you have to be willing to risk your life to help them. You have to work with people. Yes, these people that live there are the descendants of very contrary, very stubborn people, but they were not stupid people. They knew they had to get along to survive. So if you're too contrary, if you don't get along with people, you're going to push away from others. On an eternal, untamable frontier, you push away too far away from others, and something's going to take that opportunity to munch on some opportunity prey. And then you're gone, and you don't pass on your unpleasant genes. Or say you're part of a community and you're really not making people happy. They're really unhappy with you because you and your family are just not working with anyone. They're really displeased. You're a drag on the community. So let's say one of your neighbors just happens to be walking by the road and ducks behind a tree just in time because there's this big damn lizard come out of nowhere, and it's heading out toward your farm. Oh dear. Well, if you're not getting along with everyone else and you're just sort of a hassle to be around, maybe it'll be a day or two before they let everyone know that the lizard was going out to your farm. You know, and then after 2-3 days, they'll go out and check. You know, usually they'll just find, scraps of cloth and bloodstains. So Again, the problem takes care of itself. They are more of a cooperative, community-minded people, even as they are very contrary and very stubborn, because if you weren't, you got it. And the survivors that were more community-oriented, well, they had kids. And they reached out and had community. So yeah, you have people like Speleodoncus Ray, who's on his own, but he's one of those 1 in a million types. He's not just a Gokura like everybody else, but not powerful enough to be a being of power or Gekirei. But he is a few steps above and enough to keep him safe out on his own. But he's also very social, very friendly, always willing to help.